All right, guys, on the show today, you know who we have. He's a great individual, helped a lot of people in this business. But today, we're not just talking about real estate investor websites. They have a new product out here, especially for you real estate agents. And I know that both of you cross back and forth. You know, it's retail side of business, investing side of business. But now we have an option for both, all real estate professionals through Investor Carrot. Let me introduce you to CEO of Investor Carrot, Trevor Mauch. How you doing, man? Welcome back.
What's up, dude? Yeah, thanks for having me back. And I'm always pumped to be chatting with you and chatting with other fellow customers, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, so Investor Carrot, guys, if you haven't watched the first podcast we had, go back and watch it. It's done it's been an amazing thing for most investors around the country, at least the ones that put the time in to figure it out, using their websites through pay-per-click and SEO, generate a lot of leads, made us a lot of money in my personal business, as well as a lot of others that I know. But as we know, investors, a lot of them are also real estate agents, and we now have an option for you real estate agents, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's talk about this, Trevor. So y'all just launched this, or when did it come out, or is right now about to come out, or what's going on with this?
Yeah, dude. So so probably by the time this comes out, it'll be out.
Right.
And it's kind of been one of those things where we've been talking about it forever, and there are certain things that, me not being the technology guy, like I'm a marketing guy and a vision guy, but me not being the guy who's hammering at the code, I just think things are going to happen way faster. And so we had to get our ducks in a row, but we've had about 100 Agent Carrot betas in for the past year, working with them on some stuff. Then literally today is the day, like today, that when we're recording this is the day we're soft rolling it out.
Right.
We're not emailing it. No one's getting a notification on it, nothing like that. And then next week, you'll be able to find it on our pricing page. So same thing, by the time this is published, my guess is you can go to our website and get it.
Well, I'm excited for it because, you know, I can only assume it's going to explode on you guys because look what happened with the regular Investor Carrot sites. I mean, it's hard to go into any market without seeing Investor Carrot sites. Simply go, if y'all are listening to this right now, go to Investor Carrot, check out what their sites look like. Go to any city, type in We Buy Houses Dallas, We Buy Houses LA, Orlando, and you're going to see people ranking high. And essentially, Trevor and his team changed the way the industry works for investors on internet and SEO marketing. And y'all really did. So kudos on that. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
You've got a really strong company. So the reason why he's on here today, guys, as you know, and you've been listening to the show, we have EXP teams. You know my team's going all across the country. We've gone into multiple states. It's absolutely incredible what's happening. And I'm about to have hundreds and hundreds of agents working with us. And so I need a way for them to promote themselves to the marketplace in front of the consumer. And I think Investor Carrot's a great way to go. And if you're a real estate agent, you may want to be thinking about this as well. So let's talk about what's coming out. What's so different, or how is this different than the traditional Investor Carrot website?
Yeah, man. So what we're doing with this product, we're calling it Agent Carrot. So the name of our company is called Carrot. Investor Carrot's a product. Agent Carrot's a product. And the cool thing is, it works hand in hand. Like you said, one client could have both. You can add on Agent Carrot, or if you're an Agent Carrot member, you can add on Investor Carrot later to get access to that tool set. And what we found over the years, working with a lot of real estate agents, a lot of real estate investors, almost 4,000 real estate investors currently that are actively using Carrot right now.
Right.
And I don't have these numbers, but it's probably around 1,000 of them. 800 of them are also agents. And over the years, we kept on getting these requests from everyone saying, I would really love what Investor Carrot's doing for me. I really love the system, the results I'm getting. Can I use this for my agent business? And so many people were just kind of jerry-rigging our system, deleting all the content, bringing stuff over. And while it kind of served its purpose a little bit, it really wasn't getting them the result that any of us would hope, because we hadn't put in the time to really build Agent Carrot from the ground up into a tool that's built for agents that's going to help you get great results. So the biggest differentiator that we're really going out there with is, I think we've been decently good with this company in forecasting out 2, 3, 4, 5 years out on what the real estate market's going to look like, and then going, okay, what's technology going to look like? Then how do we connect those investors with where the market's likely going to be? How do we connect those agents with where the market's going to likely be? And where we're right now is the market's really cluttered. It's like very cluttered between investors, between agents. And in a cluttered market, what happens? In a cluttered market, if you don't, and I'll here in a second, but in a cluttered market, if you don't find a way to cut through that clutter, what happens is you get pushed to the side and you end up probably going out of business, going back and getting a day job somewhere else, rather than chasing your dream, being a real estate entrepreneur as an investor or an agent. So we're really leading with content marketing tools and conversion rate optimization tools that help you really cut through that clutter and build your expertise, build your credibility in your market, and really help you grow that consistent, predictable, momentum building lead flow in this competitive market.
All right. So have y'all been doing a lot of data tracking as far as like what is it, 2 million agents nationwide, or have y'all looked into this?
It's a lot, man. Yeah, I mean, I think depending on the different number that you look at, it's around the 2 million or so. Now, you can also look at, how many of them are actually active. So that's real estate licenses, and then you start to kind of pull it back. And I don't know, there's different numbers I've seen. The 2 million licenses and 500,000 are actually actively doing that as a career, or whatever the number is. Right? I've heard a lot of different numbers, but that's kind of part of the problem that we found is most real estate agents, they kind of do what most real estate agents do as far as the web goes. They go, okay, I need to get a website. So they toss something online, and it has what all other agent websites have. It has your IDX, so you can see MLS type of properties, right? It's got that pretty picture of you somewhere smiling. And then it's got some basic kind of tools that a home buyer, mostly home buyers, would find useful, maybe a mortgage calculator, maybe some things like that. So if all real estate agents are doing that, that is the clutter. Like you are a part of the clutter if that's all you're doing, because if they land on your site versus this person's site versus this person's site, the only thing that they can really gauge the difference between you, because you all have the same listings on the IDX, you all have the pretty picture. It's like literally your photo and your name, unless you do some extra steps that we're helping you do with Agent Carrot, which is really build in ways to do content quick, easy, simple, so you can get in front of your prospects better where they're searching online. But then also once they find your website, you're now not a part of the clutter. There's really good credibility building elements that only you can have on your website because it's you. No one else is you. Right. So that's what we help you do.
So guys, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't heard of Investor Carrot, which most of you have and probably already using Investor Carrot, essentially what Trevor's done is he's created a done-for-you website, right? So instead of having to come into the business as a new agent trying to figure out how to create a website, going through like Wix or something like everybody tries to do and realize this is absolutely never going to work, right? They have created all the content. It's already templated. It's just plug and play. Plus, they've created an incredible back office management system where they've got video trainings to teach you how to do this. I mean, a lot of people, Trevor, come up to me and they ask me, like, think I'm some SEO expert or something because they see my website. So I'm like, look, I didn't do anything but watch Trevor's videos and just do it, right? I mean, I just took what y'all taught me to do, you and Adrian and all you guys, and just did it. And people just don't do it. There's this element of self-responsibility that people seem to just no longer have, and they want the easy button. But this is as close to an easy button as you can get because it's already done for you. So let's look at like cost comparison. So are you giving, first of all, as a selfish question for myself, as an investor who's already on Investor Carrot that's also an agent, what is there some type of conversion, or do we get a special deal, or do agents right now, you said there's 800 of them, what's the deal for them?
Yeah, so we're working through that still. Like, honestly, I think anytime you start a business, you got to do some of your research up front, and you have a pretty good idea, but then until you go to market, you don't know if you hit the mark with it or not. And this is one thing to toss out there, that in the 4 years we've been in business, primarily focused on the investor side, we've adjusted our pricing 4 times. And part of it's because you add new features, and then you do this, and you build a lot more value, and then you do this, and you discover how you can serve your clients better. So we have adjusted our pricing 4 times. But what we're doing right now is this. So we have it set to where as soon as we launch it, someone can join Agent Carrot by itself, right? And when you look at the comparable pricing versus a Playster or some of the other services out there that aren't really helping you cut through that clutter very well with the content marketing tools and conversion and things, the pricing will be very, very similar when you include the IDX stuff. So depending on the feature set that you choose with Carrot, you can choose the Content Pro plan or the Advanced Marketer plan. You add in IDX, it's about another $50 a month. You're going to be about the $150 a month. You know, if you want to add Advanced Marketer, it's going to be around $200 a month if you add IDX to it. So, which is very comparable to a Play Store or something like that. Just it's a different feature set. We focus on helping you cut through the clutter, attract people, and convert them. And some of the other ones kind of have better lead managers and things like that than we do.
Right.
For people who are already existing customers of ours, that's what we're still trying to work out, because we want to make sure that we do obviously reward our clients who are in certain plans. We do know that any type of thing that we do, if you're in the core plan right now with Investor Carrot, you can't add a core plan with Agent Carrot. So there is no $50 a month one site plan with Agent Carrot. There's specific reasons for that, because we want to make sure to really provide all that full support that agents need to help them succeed. And we couldn't do it at that feature set at that price. So if you're on the core plan, you want to add Agent Carrot, you'll be able to add Agent Carrot at the Content Pro or Advanced Marketer. But keep an eye out, because like I said, we're going to be doing some things over the coming month and a half, 2 months. And honestly, we want feedback from you guys, because at the end of the day, if we're hitting the mark and really providing a ton of value, then it's all going to be, it's going to be benefiting all of us. If we're not, we want that transparency, and we want you guys to let us know, and we'll figure out what's best for all of us. But we're in the phase, man. We'll launch it out. And that's the pricing. You join a normal Content Pro or Advanced Marketer, add on IDX if you want to, and from there we'll see what happens with people who add on a bunch of stuff: Agent Carrot, Investor Carrot, multiple sites, that kind of thing.
Right. So you guys heard him. It's 100% free, right?
100% free, dude.
No,
well, technically it is though. So let me throw it out at you. So let's do some math, right? So right before we started this call, you were even saying, man, I do like 6 to 7 deals a year with Carrot. Now you put in your work. You put in the work, right? So you did put in the work. So it's not free as in I can push a button and buy something.
Just organically, yeah.
Just organically. So people Google searching you, finding you, whatever. So technically, and I don't know what your average profit per deal is, but if you didn't have Carrot as the tool in the training there, you wouldn't have had that money in your bank account. So therefore, Carrot actually pays you in some weird universal way. Not really.
Have you read a sales book? You've read some sales.
That's right, man. I'm messing with you guys, but yeah, no, we're pumped to be helping the agents in a big way, and it's kind of been people have been knocking down our door for it. Our existing customers saying, when are you going to roll something out for agents? So we're excited.
Well, I mean, it's just like, Trevor, this. If they're not putting in business-like efforts, they're not going to get business-like results. So if you guys come in and you try to optimize your websites for a night or two, you're never going to generate leads, especially when your competition's out there. But it's not just the organic searches. You can run pay-per-click ads to it. You can run pay-per-click ads through social media to your sites. You can run classified sites. So I'm always telling this to people, Trevor, that they don't just necessarily need websites for lead generation, but they have to have websites for credibility purposes. So you don't necessarily have to generate leads as an income producing strategy, but you have to have some type of credibility out there. So if you go to a house and I'm at that same house and I offer $100,000, you offer $100,000, they go look me up online, and I got websites and testimonials and YouTube channel, and I'm all out there public, and they can't even find a website for you. What's the psychology going to lead that seller to do? They're never going to go with you. And they tell us all the time that they research us. They really do. They're going to look you up.
And especially on a cell phone, right? Like when we're talking about retail buyers and sellers, way more than the investor side of the market, we see cell phones being used a lot more on the retail side. So you got to make sure, whether you use Agent Carrot or any other system, make sure it's amazing on mobile. Not just something that is mobile responsive. Mobile responsive is the technology that makes a website resize based on the screen size that you're looking at it. That's step one. But one thing that a lot of people miss with their websites on their cell phone is the conversion elements aren't where they need to be on the cell phone. The buttons and the forms aren't the size that they should be, or the placement based on people using thumbs, to type things in. Right. And those are things that we really dial in and make sure that on the mobile experience, what are those things we need to serve up to someone when they're in the moment of looking to buy or sell. And that's what we really focus on more than most anyone else.
Right. So what are y'all seeing as internal data on that? Like how many out of 100, how many searches would go towards mobile versus desktop? Because I know it's changed quite a bit, hasn't it, over the past few years?
Yeah, so month to month, and we have the data. We actually publish it on the bottom of our website. So people can go to oncarrot.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you're going to see a report from the previous month on how many opt-in leads came in. It doesn't include phone call leads because we can't track those. But it shows how many opt-in leads came in and what percentage of them were mobile. So if I were to go over there now and take a look at it, and so this is yanked directly out of our Google Analytics. It just pops it right in there. So these are your guys' sites, like client sites, not our website. 58,480 online opt-in leads from the last month. Almost 60% came from mobile. The month before it was 61%. So we're kind of hovering around that 60%. But also, when you kind of dive into the data further, it separates and it is different by lead type. Also, if you go to different parts of the country, we can get even more granular with it. different parts of the country have a higher propensity for mobile than others. But in general, if you're talking about buyers, buyers are heavily, heavily mobile. If you're talking about sellers, there's more desktop in there than there is with buyers. It's still really close to the 50% though, oftentimes. And if you're looking at the retail seller versus the motivated house seller, same thing. There's a little bit of a difference there. Usually the retail seller is a little bit higher mobile than the highly motivated house seller. It's just weird. It's the patterns by which people use stuff. One last thing. Also, it heavily depends on where you're driving your traffic from. So we have some agents who really, really love Facebook. And Facebook, the traffic from Facebook tends to be over 80% mobile. Most of the time, over 85% mobile. So it really depends. It really depends on how you're going to be driving your traffic too.
All right. So one of the things you guys did that was really good, Trevor, is that y'all allowed Investor Carrot to link with a lot of different programs. Mm-hmm. So a big thing with what we're doing with eXp Realty is I've got all these agents all across the country building these teams out. We use Conversion and Commissions Inc. They're two robust lead generation softwares. I don't know if you've heard of these. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be compatible with that? Are you going to be able to somehow link these together with Agent Carrot? Have you looked into this?
Yeah, so we've looked into Conversion, Commissions Inc. and Follow Up. Was it Follow Up Boss? Is that what it's called? One of the big ones there. I think that's what it's called, something like that. But there's a whole bunch of them over there. And in general, right now, from day one, we can integrate with any one of them that integrates with Zapier. So anything that integrates with Zapier, we can integrate with from day one. And then what we're going to do is we want your guys' feedback. If a lot of you guys are using Commissions Inc. or Conversion, then we're going to start to go out there and work with those companies to create integrations with them. So that's kind of where we're in the earlier phases there. So we don't have a direct integration with either, but we integrate with anything that integrates with Zapier. So that's something I'd love for you and I, dude, to connect on and dig into it a little bit further.
Right.
And check it out.
Because you're going to have a ton of agents coming in from eXp to your system because we're the fastest growing real estate company that's ever existed. And another thing that we have is what's called our Making It Rain program, which is an in-house pay-per-click system, which is simply just a Google. I mean, there's got to be a way for that to link in. So guys, I'm sure that once they launch this, I mean, I hope you're ready to hire people because you're about to explode because you're about to touch into an even. Because I would assume that there's more agents in the country than there are investors. That was just my gut assumption. I may be wrong, but
yeah, I mean, it's kind of negligible. Same thing. Like what is an investor, right? Where if you look at actual investors, people who buy houses and hold them, there's some number that I've seen that's like 2.5 million, 3 million people that are investment property owners. But then that's not our market. If you go down to flippers, wholesalers of land, of houses, things like that, the number is much smaller than 2 million that are actual, really active people. And I added a note here really quick because I'm gonna go look at see if there is an integration with Zapier and Commissions Inc. So I'm adding some notes real fast so I don't forget about it.
Okay, cool. Now you mentioned you're somehow integrating with MLSs. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah. So there's a couple different things. Like, dude, as funny as this is the thing that took us a long time is as we were diving into building Agent Carrot, we didn't know what we didn't know around the IDX side of things, right? We know conversion, we know content, we know SEO, we know how to get people to your site, build credibility, and convert really, really well. But when we were digging into the IDX and how do we deliver properties in someone's websites, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it like some of the big, huge venture-funded firms have done, where they actually build out and go out there and create one-to-one relationships with every single MLS in the country, and they become their own aggregator. Right. That's a big job. That's not something we can create in 6 months. So what we've done is we did a lot of research, and we found the aggregators that give the data the way that we want to see it right now. And so we do have IDX through iHomefinder's API. They deliver it in a way that we like right now. And then we're working really, really hard behind the scenes to continue to improve every single month the way that properties display, the way that you can generate leads when people look at properties, those types of things. So it is available right now, directly integrates through our side. You don't have to ever go to iHomefinder and buy anything. It all happens behind the scenes on our end. But that is what we're currently doing. Same thing, we're going to keep on working with you guys. And we're always going to be at the forefront of helping you attract people to your website, amazing content marketing tools, best in the industry, helping you convert them. And then we're going to keep on really focusing and committing that we're going to improve the back end technology around CRM integrations, and IDX.
Right, right. So like as far as like are you going to maintain the same appearance, or is this completely just a completely different, what do they call it, skin? Or how is it going to look like the other investor care sites, or is this going to be something completely different?
Yep. So there's certain framework methodologies around our conversion framework that, of course, are baked in there that just won't change, because we know through all of our testing that this kind of thing is what guides someone to a result. So there's certain things that are going to be very similar that Carrot members will recognize. Oh, yeah, that's that type of a button or this type of a thing. But there is a difference, of course, with an agent site, because with investors, we really, really highly focus investors on, we go, okay, if you're looking for motivated house sellers, have a website that just speaks to house sellers, and then have one over here that's your cash buyer site. With agents, it's a little bit different, right? Because oftentimes your buyer is the seller and your seller is the buyer. And so you're building the relationship with the person. And so you've got to then find that fine balance of, when someone lands on my homepage, how do we guide them down the path that best fits them and solves their problem? The cool thing about the retail side of things is people already know how it works, right? With the investor side, the uphill climb you have is you've got to educate the market what this service does, because most people don't know what it is. Most people are familiar with the retail sell process. They're not familiar with the investor sell process. So that's why you're really content heavy on the investor side on how it works. What is this? Like a lot of copy on the homepage describing all these issues you could be going through as a seller, and here's how we do it, and here's how we make the offers, and this and that. There's a little bit less of that on the retail side because they already understand how it works. I list it. They already know that there's some sort of commission, around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% that they have to pay. And so it's more about building credibility than anything on the agent side. It's how do you build credibility, utility, and expertise? And so these ones are more highly focused on that. It definitely more highly focused on you and your uniqueness versus just saying, hey, I can list your house, because every agent can list your house. So there is some of that copy. The homepage, we're testing variations right now. So some of our clients have a variation with an opt-in box on it. Some of them have buttons on it that then guide them down through the paths to conversion. And we're coming up with some other things too that we're testing that are working really well in some markets on the home value, the home value opt-in process. Driving someone to a home value, is that more effective than this over here? So yeah, man, we're just really, really pumped to be learning what we're learning through this testing process. And you will recognize elements, and some of them you won't. As far as the overall design goes, though, like the aesthetic of it, it is a different, we call them styles. It's definitely a different style, which is cool.
So did y'all find anything interesting with the beta test group? Anything come up as far as certain areas or certain like templates, or like what did you see discrepancies in who's producing leads versus not? Like anything interesting like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit too early on some of it, because same thing, that the law of averages, right? We've got about 80 agent carrot people in beta, and a lot of people just aren't executing the stuff. So that's probably the biggest thing, is like, how do we guide the person to execute the stuff? And one thing that we have found works really, really good. It's a long-term play, but that's what you need in a market like this cluttered market right now, is to build momentum with your lead flow. One thing that was working really good, overwhelming every time we did it, was what we called video post. And we launched this feature about 3 months ago because of the testing we were doing with agents. Is we would tell them, they'd be like, how do I drive people to it? And we would dial in certain things on their normal SEO. There's two of the larger brokerages here in Roseburg, Oregon, where I live, small town. We piloted them. And one of them is the largest Century 21 team as far as production in the whole Northwest. And then the other one is the largest independent brokerage in Douglas County, which is still a pretty small one compared to where you're at. I think there are 20 agents, 25 agents or so, but it's an independent, locally owned one. The largest brokerage has a lot more agents than that. And, it's Century 21. I think they've got 100 plus, which for a town like this, it's a lot of agents. So overwhelmingly what we found was when they switched over to Carrot from their other tools, their rankings did increase. So they went from the bottom of page 1 to now for house sellers are a little bit harder, and Trulia and all those big websites like that, right? But the thing that overwhelmingly for all of them worked was the video post. We told them to go out there and record 3 to 5 minute videos when you're out there with clients. You could be at a river home and you're a river home expert, and you want to then guide the client on. You want to make sure that the client doesn't trip up on some of the things that you would normally trip up on if it's your first river home. There's where do you get your water? Is it a well or is it coming out of the river? What's the filtration system look like? I mean, I'm saying this because we bought our house in the river a year and a half ago, and I didn't know anything about any of that stuff. Luckily, my agent was an expert in it, and he's now an Agent Carrot client. And so we say, when you're out there doing that stuff, whip out your phone and record two or three or four really short 3 to 5 minute videos. You know, hey, this is Mark. I'm out on the North Umpqua River, and if you're looking at buying a house here in the North Umpqua, there's 5 things you should really look for when it comes to your water situation. Let me walk you through those things, okay? And then you walk them through. And then we would have them go transcribe it on a tool called rev.com, rev.com. It's $1 a minute. You submit it over there. You get the transcription emailed back to you. Copy that, paste it onto a blog post, take your video, upload it to YouTube, paste that in the blog post, do some quick 30-second optimization based on what someone might type into Google, buying farmland in Roseburg, Oregon as an example, and then publish it. So when they were doing that, overwhelmingly, they kept on popping up really, really high, usually top 1, 2, 3 in Google for these really drilled down, highly specific, but highly valuable keyword phrases. And we're going, okay, this is working for everybody, and they're getting leads from it. Right. And really, really good quality leads. Fewer volume, but really good quality. So that's when we rolled out video posts and automated the whole process. So all you've got to do now is record the video. You upload it to YouTube, then you go into Carrot, paste the YouTube URL, and that's it. Wow. And then you push a button, you send it off. Behind the scenes, we get it transcribed through APIs. We yank it back. We make a blog post for you with the title that came from YouTube. So better make sure it's a good title, or you can edit in our system. Your video's there, introduction's there, and then your whole transcription's below it with a call to action on it. So those types of things are kind of micro marketing things that we're seeing work really well. As far as data and testing and conversion, same thing, man. It's like the sample size we have is so small, and the traffic sample so small that I wish I could come with you right now going, hey, this thing was magic. But knowing what we already know from conversion stuff, we just brought that stuff over, and we haven't seen anything that's amazing us at the moment. But as we start to bring on some of the larger agents that are going to do more Facebook traffic and things like that, that's where I'm going to be really, really excited to dive in at them personally and have our team dive in and run a bunch of tests and make a bunch of iterations.
And what he just gave y'all guys is very important to understand with the transcribing and everything, with as far as helping your SEO. That's why it's a great benefit to go through Investor Carrot, because to go figure that out on your own, I mean, the odds that someone goes and figures that out on their own is like literally non-existent, right? They have to really be putting a lot of time looking at that. So what, as far as like Google goes, is there been any updates or big changes, or do you know of any big changes coming soon that have happened in the past year or so?
Yeah, I mean, so Google hasn't announced like any big stuff other than the SSL stuff, security on your website. So that's something that they did make an announcement even this past week, that officially SSL with the Chrome browser. Like right now, if you pull up a website that's not secure, that doesn't have a security certificate, an SSL certificate, if you pull it up right now on Chrome, it just kind of has this like grayed out little I thing on it. It doesn't like have a red X or say not secure or anything. They did make an announcement this last week that basically said, I think it's as of June or July, this summer sometime, that Chrome is now going to clearly say that you're on a website that's not secure. Right. So Google and some other browsers are really heavily pushing for making sure all websites are secure. That's why we rolled it out and got ahead of the curve in January. So all Agent Carrot, Investor Carrot websites that launch from the time that we rolled out at the end of January are all secure automatically. You don't have to ever pay for the security certificate. You don't have to do anything for it, and we renew it automatically. Any existing Agent Carrot or any existing Investor Carrot websites that existed before that, you just log into your account, click one button, literally you click it and you're like, whoa, did that actually save it? Is it SSL? Right. You click a button and it's automatically SSL forever. So that's one thing for sure. You want to make sure your websites are secure, because they will impact Google rankings, I think, as the second half of the year happens in a big way, especially 2019. Another thing that we're finding, man, is Google is really rewarding what they consider as brands now. So 2 years ago, you could type a phrase like, we buy houses in Connecticut as an example. I'm using this as a real example of a client. And Google wouldn't have recognized that as a brand. They would have recognized it as a search, for someone that's looking for those quote unquote "we buy houses" guys, but they wouldn't look at it as a brand. So what we've found is Google's starting to correlate multiple things. This is getting kind of detailed here, right? And I'm not saying for people to go do this. I'm just saying this is one thing we've noticed is Google will notice that if your URL is exactly X, WeBuyHousesInConnecticut.com as an example, and you go to your Google My Places listing and name your business on there, We Buy Houses in Connecticut as the business name, that we're finding Google reward people who type in We Buy Houses in Connecticut as a search result. They're pairing this up going, oh, you must be looking for this company. So it shows over in the right-hand side,
Right.
that card for the business with all the reviews and all that. And we're going, first times we saw that, we're like, why is it doing that? And this is about 8 months ago. And then we started to corroborate it in all these different markets. We're going, I don't think it's right, but Google is rewarding what they consider brands when people are searching it. Like if you were to search your own company name right now and then put Dallas, you're going to see your Google local listing over there, right? But you can kind of game the system there right now. But I think Google is going to get privy to how their change made an impact. I think that we think it was kind of dumb that they did it. Another couple things too is Google more and more this past year is showing multiple listing results from the same website on page one. So 2 years ago, they made an update. 2, 3, 4 years ago, actually, they made an update. I don't remember when the update was made, but there's a period of years where you could only really have one of your URLs on page one of Google for a particular search. So let's say it was, buying farmland in Roseburg, Oregon, as an example. I've got that pulled up here in my browser. So I pulled up buying farmland in Roseburg, Oregon. Land Watch is the number 2, number 3, number 4 result in Google. Land and Farm is the number 5 and number 6 result. So more than half of page one is dominated by 2 websites. The funny thing is the number 1 result there is actually an agent carrot client that used video post and is ranking number 1 with a 3.5-minute video they record, and that's all that they did because it's localized content. So that's one thing to really keep an eye on is if you guys are wanting to rank for certain pages and really get in front of your buyers or sellers, your retail buyers or sellers, or it could even be on the investor side, just recognize if there's a really sought after phrase, you can have multiple pages ranking well. How do you do that? Well, you have to have different content, but on a similar topic. And what we'll do here at Carrot, like if you were to Google phrases like, I could fall flat on my face. It's been a while since I've done this, but PPC for real estate, investors or whatever. Now, we used to own it, and we'll see what happens with it now. Yeah, if you Google like PPC for real estate investors, we own the number 1 and number 2 positions there. And all that we did was we said, okay, we want to go out there and control part of this conversation. So we would then write multiple blog posts on the same topic. And that's something I'm going to see happen. We're going to see happen more and more this next year is, especially for agents that really like content. If you can niche down some of your topics like buying farmland in Roseburg, Oregon, or river homes in X, and then record a series of content on that, your competitors aren't doing it.
Right.
You could have 2, 3, 4 different results ranking, and you could control the conversation. And there's some other things too. Google, I could go on and on about Google stuff, but Google is definitely rewarding good quality backlinks a lot more now than volume of backlinks. So you got to be more careful than ever right now with the backlinks that you get.
Right.
And anytime you're gaming the system, that's when you kind of can get in trouble with your backlinks.
Right. So one of the things I think is important to understand for a lot of you agents, as compared to real estate investors are more looking, we buy houses Dallas or we buy houses city or county. But agents seem to drill down a little bit with more laser focus towards a zip code or certain subdivisions. And so y'all can probably geo-target specific zip codes, right? Or subdivisions like, Bear Creek subdivision, right? Because you're probably the only one trying to optimize for that subdivision.
Yep.
And a lot of times these homeowners are going in typing, I need to sell my house in Bear Creek subdivision, find an agent. And so you're going to be able to dig down a little bit closer.
Dude, and that's such good advice. So I'm over here right now. So once again, kind of drilling into my local area right here, right? We've got we're small town. So I want people to recognize that this stuff works in big towns, small towns, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
In a bigger area, you have more opportunity to niche is the thing, because there's more niches of neighborhoods and sides of town. So here in Roseburg, there's certain parts of town that are pretty specific. Like, even though it's Roseburg and it's a very small town, people will still refer to themselves as, yeah, we live in Melrose,
Right.
or we live in Hillcrest. Okay. So those are still Roseburg addresses. It's literally, they're half of a mile away from each other in this tiny town, but they're more neighborhoods than anything, but they're really nice. And so I went to Google, and one really easy way to find out what people are actually typing into Google that you can niche down on, because I never want people to niche down on stuff that they're guessing. You always want to niche down on stuff that you have data backing up that people are typing it in, because your competitors probably aren't doing this. So I started to type in houses for sale in Melrose. And then started to get some Google suggestions popping up, right? And then I typed Melrose, then ROSE, so starting to spell Roseburg slowly. And this suggestion popped up for me. So this is based off of Google's data saying enough people are typing this phrase that it matters for us to say, hey, do you mean this? So homes for sale, Melrose area, Roseburg, Oregon. I would have never guessed that people would have been putting the word area in there for some reason. Just me. I wouldn't have guessed it. So people are typing homes for sale. This is one thing too, when people when they're looking to buy a house, they usually use the word home. When they're looking to sell a house, they use the word house, because they've detached
Right.
mentally from the emotion of the home versus the house.
We specifically teach our students, do not say home when you go in. How much can I offer you for your home? Because that same that same link.
Exactly. So that niche down phrase right there, I would do a video series on that, and I would do a content series on it. Homes for sale, Melrose area, Roseburg, Oregon, and I would just really double down on that. I would also create a page. This is one thing that's really good, and we have something called location pages in Agent Carrot, where you can create pages that are specific to areas, and then you can put your area map on there and all kinds of cool stuff. And I would create a location page if I were a real estate agent here in Roseburg called Homes for Sale, Melrose area, Roseburg, Oregon.
Right.
And then I would type in my IDX listings. I'd write some good information, put a video up there, and then start sending links to it. And you'd get some good traffic.
So are you still using, what's the best place to do that? The keyword tool? Because I feel like the last time I tried to go in there and find the Google keyword planner tool, it was sent me through this long process. I couldn't even get into there. Have you seen that or heard about that? Or
keyword tool is a mess, man. It's awesome. But what they're doing with it is smart for them. But what they're doing with it is, before it was pretty much free for everyone, right? And they're making it to where you've got to have it in your AdWords account. And so you got to have a Google AdWords account. And they're still even obfuscating some of the data that they used to give you back in the day. Dude, what I do, and this is just me, like 98% of the time when I'm trying to find content to create to crack through that clutter, I use google.com. And I start putting myself in the mindset that a house seller or buyer would be in. And I go, what would I type in if I was in this situation? And I'll think of a specific situation. Like, I'm like, if I just got in a divorce and I was looking to sell, like, what are the things I would type in? And I'd start typing things really slowly and see what pops up in the suggestions. Then I I copy and paste and put that into a little text document. And then I typed in, that, and it gave me the suggestion of homes for sale, Melrose area, Roseburg, Oregon. Dude, once again, this is all I do. Scroll to the bottom of the page. And then it's going to give you what it says: searches related to, insert the phrase you just searched. So searches related to homes for sale, Melrose area, Roseburg, Oregon. And it's got 8 different suggestions that Google says are related to what I just searched. Homes for sale in Looking Glass, Oregon. Sweet. That's another little area, 5 miles out of town. I'm going to do a location page on that. Land for sale, Roseburg. Cool. If I want to be able to list and sell land, I'm going to create a blog post or a page specifically called that. Right. So the only time that I use, and there's other ones in here, homes for sale, Green, Oregon. The only time that I use a research tool that gives me traffic stuff is if it's a high money, high stakes phrase. And if it's something where I'm going to a decently big market, and I'm trying to peg down my number 1, 2, 3 most important keyword phrase. Like, that's the only time I use search data. Is I go, okay, it's a brand new market. I'm going to the plumbing market and I just don't know plumbers well. And I'm going, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of these searches through Google, find the suggested searches, come up with 15, 20 of them in a little document that I pasted over. And then I'm going to go into that tool, put them all in there. And then that'll give me some data going, okay, well, I didn't recognize that one would get searched more than the others. That's the way I do it, because it's simple. And honestly, the 80-20 rule, that's going to get you 80% of your results. If you wanted to dig deeper and use Google's keyword planner to get all these other suggested keywords, you could totally do it. I just think it's not an 80-20 thing.
Now, when they go to Google, and let's say you go to Google and you're just typing in any random long tail keyword, and you start typing it in, like you're saying, character by character, you're getting suggestions to popping up. You're going to have the drop down box pop up. Are those in order from search engines? So like the first one's the most search, the second one's the next most search, or is this just completely random? You know what I'm saying? Like you get like 5 or 6 choices. Are they in any order, or is these just random suggested?
I've read all the above, and I mean, I think that's the thing that Google's pretty good at not telling people about that stuff. But I've read all the above, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's definitely in order of searches. Like you'll see it, and then there's another time where I'm going, there's no way that one searched more than that one that's 5 down. So I don't know. I don't know, but you could take all those and then take them into Google Keyword Planner or SpyFu or SEMrush or something like that. You could take them and put them in there and get some sort of data. But the same thing, it's like this is why I tend not to do the traffic volume research when I'm looking for stuff outside of when I'm starting to go into a new market, so I can get my bearings for stuff. Is Google doesn't give you that data anyway. So like any data that SEMrush has or SpyFu has isn't 100% accurate, because Google doesn't just have an API where it says, hey, awesome, we're going to tell you, the search volume for these. They don't tell people that. So it's up to the devices of each one of those different software tools to have their own methods that they can pull out some sort of data this is getting techy, but that then they extrapolate over, well, because this 1% of searches did X, we're going to extrapolate over to 500 million searches and assume it's the same trend.
Right.
But yeah, do it the simple way. And then if you guys want to get deeper with it, then that's where you can dive into our training or other stuff and get deeper with it and use those tools.
Right. And that's what's really great about what they have, guys. Anytime you go into Investor Carrot or now Agent Carrot, they've got a entire back office of a ton of videos and ton of training to help you with the problems that you're facing. Now, speaking of problems, let's look at what is it that you see is, out of all y'all's clients, the biggest issue? Is it people that are not putting enough backlinks, not enough citations, they're not seizing their sites long enough, they're not filming videos and linking it to YouTube? Like what are 1 or 2 of the biggest mistakes that you see these new agents and investors need to correct to increase their chances of having success?
Yep, I'll give you 3 very specific ones. The first one is, and I've been really on this kick the last year or so because I see it so much, especially when a market heats up, it gets even worse, is most people are wrapping their marketing budget in emotion, not in math. And that's the first thing, man, and I'm guilty of it too, right? I'm guilty of it. Years back, I would go, you know what? I'm going to put in $1,000 a month and I'm going to see what that does. But then when you work the math out, $1,000 a month might not map to the results that you are trying to shoot for. So here's an example. Let's say you want 5 listings a month. I'm just making numbers up, right? Let's say you want 5 listings a month, and you have your numbers where if you can talk with 20 sellers, you can lock down 5 listing contracts. And I don't know if these numbers are accurate. I'm just throwing stuff out there. So let's say that that's your goal. And in order to get those 20 sellers to talk to, let's say that you're like, you know what? I'm going to put in $500 a month to try to get leads. My goal is 5 listings a month. Cool. That's sweet. That sounds awesome. But now let's work your numbers back. Like, let's say you start to launch a Facebook ad campaign or Google AdWords or whatever it is you're doing, right? You could be doing the work yourself, SEO-wise, whatever. Let's say it's a paid traffic method. Let's say even the best honed down process, your leads are going to be $150 a lead, okay? So I'm making stuff up here once again. I don't know what you're going to pay for a lead. Let's go with $100 just so it's round. So let's say you're getting them for $100 a lead. That means that's $2,000 to get your 20 leads. In this example, these are simplified numbers. Let's say it's $2,000 to get it. You get your 5 listings. say 5 listings and I'm only going to put $500 a month, that's an emotional decision you made on your budget. It's not based on what math shows. So that math showed in order to get 5 listings, you've got to put up $2,000 to get 5 listings if all of your numbers hold still.
Right.
So we've done a bunch of videos on this. I call it your max cost per lead calculation. You can go look at it on our website. Just go to our blog and Google max cost per lead or math. Just put in the word math in that blog search bar. You're going to find a video where I dive into it deeper. That's the first thing. Second thing is people aren't giving enough credibility. They're not giving enough credit to credibility in this market. They think because I am an agent and my cousin Betty knows that I'm an agent, she should list with me, kind of thing.
Right.
And what happens is cousin Betty wants to have a good experience, so she doesn't want to feel guilty that she's listing with you. She wants to know that you're the best option for her, and that's what all of your clients want to do. So what are you doing on your website to really put real credibility? So when someone lands in your website, they can clearly see the difference between you and someone else. Right. Even if you offer the same service, you guys both might be listing houses. The commission may be exactly the same, but why is it that they should work with you instead of Greg over there? So put some things on your website that isn't just your glamour shot, but like this is me and why I really love real estate. I specialize in these parts of town or this part of real estate or this type of a buyer. Okay, so try to specialize in this busy market. If you go general, then you're going to be flushed out. The last thing is honestly, people aren't consistent enough. If we talk about consistency around SEO, like you mentioned before, if someone does something for a day or two or a week or two or even a month or two, they're just not going to get the result. But those who are doing consistently implementing the plan for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, you're going to get momentum. Those people who are consistently doing that weekly video post, that 3-minute post, right? Over the course of a year, you got 52 new pages on your website, 52 new chances to get in front of people. You're going to be swarming the market. It's consistency.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of it is people are business owners are results oriented. So if they go spend $10,000 a month on something and it doesn't work, they look at that as a loss right there. But if, for example, I came from a high stakes poker world. So like, let's say on the river, on the last card that's dealt, I bluff all in and I get called. Well, that was a net loss to me. But does that mean that was a bad play, or does that mean the marketing strategy wasn't good? Because if you run that in a simulation and did it 100 times, 90 out of 100 times that play may work and it may be a profitable play, but that short-term variance, it was negatively affecting your outcome, right? So that's what happens with marketing is they get in their mind, they create this game plan, and then they go send out a marketing campaign. It doesn't go the way they want, and they say this doesn't work, and they don't pull the trigger again and again, even though it could be a profitable play. They can't get over that fear barrier to swipe the credit card or strike the check again. And it's the marketing variance, because like, even though we get about one deal for every 15,000 flyers we put out when we're doing neighborhood canvassing, there's no guarantee you're going to get that incrementally. So it's not like you put out 15,000, you get a deal, put out 15,000 deal. You may put out 60,000 and get no deals, and then put out 2,000 and get 2 deals. And so that's where people have an issue with that. Well, is there anything you want to talk about with Agent Carrot that we didn't go over?
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, we've had
cut down a little bit. We're getting it. A little technical difficulties, man. Not really. Like I said, I mean, we're really pumped to help. We're really pumped to help real estate agents and brokers, and we know coming out of the gates that we're not going to fully solve all the problems, but we're going to solve the problems that we feel we're uniquely suited to solve really well out of the gates. And we're just excited to work with guys like you who have really big ambitions that are going to hold us accountable to help and really solve your problems as best as possible. Right. And if anyone has questions, just reach out. And if it's a fit, we'd love to work with you. If not, we're still going to be here for you with all of our free content and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's good to give Trevor guys data, right? So as you come onto Agent Carrot and you're using in your own business, I mean, any pros or cons that you're feeling, you need to let them know and let their team know so they can make the product better and better. Because anytime you launch a product, there's no way it's perfect. It's going to have to it's going to change over time, right? And so and that change comes from data that's given to them from the consumer or the customer, right? So we have a responsibility in this too to make it better for all of us. Trevor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the links down there below if they want to get Agent Army. Is there any events or anything y'all are doing here soon? I know y'all came to Dallas and I missed you. You're here for like a few days and I was out of town. Yeah. I was like, man. Are y'all coming anywhere soon? Anywhere around the country? People get to come meet you?
Yeah, so we'll be back in Dallas sometime in the fall for that same mastermind. So we'll let everyone know. So we'll hold another big. There was like 40 people at that Carrot gathering we did, man. Some people weren't even Carrot customers, but they were afterwards. It was cool.
I bet.
So we'll be back down. We're doing 2 Carrot camps this year. So one Carrot, they're both here at Carrot HQ in Roseburg, Oregon. The first one's May 21st and 22nd. You can find out about it at carrotcamp.com. And it's a limited amount of spots, man. It's 15 people. We've already got 10 full. We've only sent 1 email out of it on it last week. Right. And so we're going to do another couple emails over the few weeks. And that'll probably fill the remaining 5. The next one's going to be in September. Other than that, we tend to go to different events around the country, and we try to let our user base know before we get there. So yeah, we'll do something. We're going to do a big event someday, man. Maybe a 2019 thing. We'll do the big Carrot event.
We'll do it in Dallas. So, I mean, we got I think we have the most meetup groups of any major city. I think something like someone told me there's 600 listed meetup groups. I don't even know if that's true anymore, but sounds pretty like a lot to me. But other than that, guys, I mean, check out Agent Carrot. If you're already Investor Carrot, if you're already on Investor Carrot and you're wanting to become an agent, or you already are an agent, take a look at this. This could be an option for you. And Trevor, I just want to say thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. And guys, we'll see you on the next episode.
Dude, appreciate it, Connor. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Thanks, Trevor.